All right. Y'all, excuse my shirt, honey. I had a little after dinner special. I had to feed my face, feed my tummy. You know how we do. But just to let you know, after my little brief morning insert, let's continue on with the story. So we left. We last left off is where. Oh, excuse me. I'm trying to be a little dignified on camera. But we last left off by me being in the Waffle House with my special friend, and he was doing all the things and such. Trying to really make a little smoochy smooch in front of people. Now, yes, I'm out. I am, but I'm not a big fan of PDA. Especially amongst the hetero world. So, but he did his thing. So we had a good meal. No, I'm sorry, we ordered a meal and took it back to his house. Now he stayed on the east side of town, in the Decatur, Georgia area. So we went back over to his place. Ate our food. Cool, chill. Did some adult things. I'm not gonna go into explicit details of what happened, but it happened. So the next morning, I got up, before him. He was still asleep. You know, I don't have to explain it, but I woke up, to check my message to see what time it was because it was so early early, and got a message on my when I checked my Facebook. One of those messages that you receive from people who are not on your friends list, and it was it was him. So he remembered my name. He obviously looked my name up on Facebook, sent me a private message. Just um glad he I guess met me formally, and of course sent me his number. Just in case I want to give him a call. Just to catch up, to continue to catch up. Sorry, continue to catch up. So as I got off my stupor, rolled around, he got up and all smiles and everything, and he stated that he was going to um, the house in the park, which is the annual traditional event during Black Pride, Black Gay Pride weekend here in Atlanta. So he invited me out. I said, okay, cool. Like I said, I'm not a house music fan, but I said, okay, let me know when you're heading out there. So I got my clothes on, hopped in my car, heading back to Marietta, where I was residing at the time. And of course, a lot of thoughts came across my mind because again, this is a new thing for me. I never been enthralled by two gentlemen at the same time, and just trying to really figure out what went down. Be playing with all the thoughts, memories, feelings that took place when I went back to the bar. So once I made it home, I saw the message again. Looked over and I said, okay, I respond back. I reply back. So not, I would say about 15 minutes later, he responded back. It's again just expressing his gratitude that I was there. We had a good time, and stuff like that. And then of course invited, let me know that some of his friends was in town for the weekend, holiday weekend, and they're going to meet up at the now gone Cow Tippers. And for those who know, Cow Tippers, mm-hmm. So I said, cool. He let me know what time he was going to be up there. So, and I was like, cool. So I did a little workout, trying to get myself, continue with the program because I was determined to make sure that I stayed on my regiment. So I didn't hear from my other friend. I called him a little island friend. I didn't hear from him anymore. I didn't hear from him at all. So at that moment, I said, okay, well, But then other guy told me, yeah, he's gonna be here this time, and I'd love to see you again. So I was like, well, hell, I ain't got shit to lose. Excuse me, my language, but yeah, I decided just to tip on over and met his friends and just get to know them and just for that brief moment, and then once they decide to leave or go somewhere else, it was just him and I just having a good, more in depth conversation with just without all the crowd and the commotion, all that stuff. So we talked, cool conversation. I think we ended our little impromptu meeting around by 10:30. So I was about to literally about to head home. He was heading home, so we walked just to each other's cars, and somehow my former best friend showed up out of the blue. The one I had not seen in months, but for some odd reason why he decided not to talk to me anymore. I don't know for whatever reason, but he surprisingly showed. As soon as we walked outside, he was pulling up. So I introduced him to him, and and he asked me, "Hey, are you know what you're doing?" I said, and me, I said, "No, I was just chilling, but I was only at home." Then he said, "Oh no, come on, have a drink with me." So I decided to just have a drink with him, talk about whatever, and I still was lost on because we've been spoke since we came back from Chattanooga, mind you, and that was back in, I believe, March or April. The conversation from one another went dead since then. It was nothing on my end because whatever I did, of course I'll say something or but for whatever reason he decided to not speak to me or talk to me is still a mystery. Anywho, we talk, called up, just see how things going with your livelihood, just the random stuff. So, and then of course I told him how I met him and the guy and everything what happened during the first Friday event at the Eagle. He was very intrigued. Glad to meet someone or have or sorry for me to meet someone. Who's really cool, down there, blah blah blah. And after that, we stayed there for another hour. Then I knew I had to get back home because I had to get back to bed for work. So because it was, I think it was Sunday, and I had to go back to work Monday. But we, I guess, patched whenever it went down. I don't even know because we left Chattanooga on a great note. So I don't even know what happened for the reason why the disconnect and and the months of not communicating. Who knows? But it was a good evening. I enjoyed myself. And I said this guy may be great potential because again, I have not been in a relationship in a while, and so we'll see what happens. And so will you. I will be back. I think this is part 3.